What's up, everybody? Welcome to an all-new episode of Fairway to Heaven on the All About the Birds Network. I am Phil Stiefel, joined as always as Jason Sullivan. We roll this week into March Madness on the PGA Tour, the Dell Technologies Match Play event. It's a fun little event that they've got going on there. It's very, I don't know how to say it. It's March Madness meets the PGA Tour. Kind of with a little bit of World Cup group play kind of mixed all together. So it's kind of a fun event. Jason, how you doing this week? And have you recovered from last week's Honda Classic and ready for the train wreck that we're about to do this week?
Listen, last week was a bloodbath for me, for sure. I think for you too. I'm excited for this week. Like you said, golf meets March Madness. Just when you thought your brackets were absolute crap, we got new brackets. So This one's probably even more of a crapshoot. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about anybody watching, but my March Madness bracket is a total just disaster. I just threw it out. I'm not looking. I don't even care anymore. I'm just following Mike, from All About the Birds for his betting tips. Hoping for a good little, insider tip on a good bet. Outside of that, I don't even care. I'm focused on this bracket, the Dell Technologies bracket.
The important bracket.
Started with all that stuff, though. Obviously, we're sponsored by Hemp Bombs Premium CBD products. Check out their website, hempbombs.com. Promo code AATBirds for 20% off your next order. Again, hempbombs.com. And, so let's jump right in. See, I knew Mike would be watching, so I had to give him a little shout out there. I had him hooked on a little golf this week, so I was trying to talk to him about some of the odds. So
First off, shameless plug. If you are not following Mike on Twitter for any sport, you need to be, because this dude knows gambling. He's good at football, good at basketball, really good at college basketball, especially. So if you're not following him, you need to.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up his Twitter handle real quick. Gonna give him a little plug here on the air. Mike, let's see here. MBARRERA 1323. That's M Barrera 1323. Yeah, great member of the All About the Birds team. Love him. Make sure you're following him on Twitter for sure. All right, so I want to dive right into this Dell Technologies thing. I don't even care about the Honda Classic last week. I want to forget about that train wreck. I actually cashed and made money last week in DraftKings. None of my outright bets won, but I actually made a decent amount of money on it. But it was such a frustrating event that I know you hated it. So let's just move on.
Yeah, it's over.
So the way this week works, we've got 64 golfers. The top 64 golfers were invited in the World Golf Rankings. If you couldn't play, like Gary Woodland, Tiger Woods, Brooks Koepka, the next man up was put into the field. They're broken up into 16 four-player pods, they're calling them. It's like group play. And they're going to play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then whoever scores the most points out of those pods moves on to the Sweet 16, and then we play match play, right down to the championship round. Saturday and Sunday, you're playing 2 rounds of golf each day to win this event. So there's a lot of stuff interesting to look at this week because it's not like building a typical DraftKings lineup or picking, outright winners. First off, there's lots of great bets because you could bet group winners, Final Four makes, there's so much to look at this week. But what was the first thing you started doing, Jason, when you were prepping for this, this show tonight and this event?
Well, first and foremost, we need to remember that this tournament starts on Wednesday and not Thursday. That's the most important thing. If you forget to do your lineups on, tonight, basically, you're out of luck. So I know we had kind of different strategies to do this. I think you did your bracket first. Well, I actually went through the DraftKings pricing to see if anybody stood out in terms of value. So I did that. I made a list, and then I went through and did a bracket based on that list and kind of thought, how does my list compare to the bracket? And then I kind of, like you said, too, you can't necessarily fit in all the guys that you think are going to win. So, if you put 4 really high-priced guys as your final 4, you're going to be out of luck because you're not going to be able to fit them in the lineup.
So what I did was that's what I did. I built my bracket first, and obviously that's a failure because my final 4 left me with a $4,200 average per person for my final 2 spots, which doesn't exist. So that kind of eliminated that. So I watched and read like a billion things today, and the first thing you got to do is you've got to look at each quarter of the bracket. Like, so if it was March Madness, the East bracket, the Midwest, the South, whatever, and you gotta make sure that your lineup only has to start 1 person from each quadrant of the bracket. You don't want to have 3 guys from the Dustin Johnson bracket because only 1 guy is going to come out of there the winner. And then your 5th and 6th guy needs to, obviously will match up with somebody, in another bracket, but you want to make sure that they don't play that person to the Elite 8. Like, I've got Dustin Johnson and Paul Casey in the Elite 8, but I'm not going to put someone from, Victor Perez, Mark Leishman, Russell Henley's group in my bracket if I'm also playing Dustin Johnson because they need to be playing in the Sweet 16. You're just cutting out a huge amount of points that you can get.
Yeah, you definitely, like you said, you definitely want 1 guy from each pod. I mean, from each quadrant, we'll say, and then you want, and then no more than 2. That's definitely the thing. So I think it's also really important to mention you need to go on DraftKings and look at the scoring. DraftKings will list the scoring. It's basically this: if you win a hole, you get 3 points. Have a hole, you get 0.75 points. Lose a hole, you get minus 7.75, and then you get 1.6 points per hole that's not played if you're the winner. So say you win with 4 holes left, you're going to get 1.6 points for each of those. So it's really important to pay attention to the scoring. Obviously, it's a weird week. Birdies, bogeys, none of that stuff matters this week. So that's going to be different in that aspect.
Yeah, Kevin Kistner is the defending champ, still from 2019. It wasn't played last year. But outside of that, if you go down the list of guys that have won this event recently, you've got Bubba Watson, Dustin Johnson, Jason Day twice, Rory McIlroy. You tend to take, a really good golfer that's on top of their game to win it. So the way I did it, so I made my bracket, and I'm looking for DraftKings at my quadrants and all. But the first thing I did was I looked at each pod. Each pod's got 4 players in it. And I picked who my favorite golfer was in each pod and who my long shot out of each pod was. So obviously I couldn't play my final 4. So then what I did was I took my favorite 2 from my final 4. And then I went back to some of the other pods and looked at long shots that I liked. We could dive right into some of these pods because I think we're going to break down each one of them and see where we like everything. Dustin Johnson's the first pod. He's the number 1 ranked player. He's got Kevin Na, Robert McIntyre, and Adam Long in his pod. He should clearly come out the winner. But based off of my theory, I should have a second guy in there that's cheaper just in case for my lineup to make it work. So first off, pod 1, Johnson, Na, McIntyre, Long. Who are you taking out of this pod?
I don't know how you don't pick DJ in this pod.
Absolutely.
I heard a lot of talk about Kevin Na, but it's like Kevin Na worries me just because of his withdrawal, tendencies. Yeah. He withdrew, I think, in his last event. So that just worries me that is he really going to play, if you're going to win, you're going to have to play 7 rounds of golf this weekend. So that's a lot. I don't know how you don't pick DJ. I think he got a pretty favorable, as he should. He got a pretty favorable match.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I wrote down Kevin Na because he was 7,100 on DraftKings as a possibility. Dustin Johnson has played poorly by his standards the last couple events that he's played in, but there's no way you can. He's won everything I read, you're not looking at strokes gained putting, strokes gained off the tee. They're not as important this week as course history and recency trend. And course history, he's won this event, Dustin Johnson. So he's obviously had success here before. So I think it's a clear favorite that Dustin Johnson wins that pod.
Yeah, no, I agree with you too. I think if you are going to play anybody, it's got to be Nah, but only if you have to.
All right, so the next pod, which I actually think is a pretty intriguing pod in my opinion, Justin Thomas, because he's the second. So the second pod is considered the number one seed on another bracket, like in March Madness. You got Justin Thomas, you got Louis Oosthuizen, Kevin Kisner, the defending champ, and Matt Kuchar. Matt Kuchar has won this event in the past, and he finished runner-up to Kevin Kisner in 2019. So a lot of success in this bracket. Louis Oosthuizen's been a guy that's had some ups and downs this year, as had Justin Thomas. But Justin Thomas just won his last event played in. So I think, obviously, Justin Thomas is the favorite here, but I could go any of the other three guys as potential upsets this week.
So do you agree that this is the hardest pod? Because I think it is, for sure.
No, I had one harder one. Let me find out where it is so I don't forget. I'll mark it down. But I had harder brackets or pods.
Xander, that one?
Yeah, probably.
That's
no. I got one that I got a couple that are actually kind of intriguing to me. But this one is definitely very difficult to pick.
Yeah.
Because Kisner's a defense. Because you've got so much course history, you've got so much success in this bracket. It's a really tough one to pick.
Yeah, I mean, you got Justin Thomas, who, if he's not the best golfer in the world, he's probably the second best golfer in the world. Absolutely. And then you have three guys that always do well in this event. So yeah, I agree, it's a tough one. I like Kisner the most in this pod, though. I think
he also finished runner-up in 2018. So he's got his last two times playing this, he's first and second. So it's really hard. He's also really cheap at 7,600.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's what I think I like the most of it is that I like Thomas, but I think I like more high-priced guys besides him. So I think I got to go cheaper. So I like Kisner.
Yeah, I love Kisner. Only downside to Kisner, I think, is because he's the defending champion. Because of what we're talking about, we're not saying some deep underground secret on Kisner. Everyone sees the Kisner secret here. And at 7,600, when you're building your DraftKings lineup per se, he's probably going to have a pretty decent ownership percentage, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. He might be the highest owned guy in the whhole field, to be honest with you, just because of his track record.
Okay.
I don't know. Right. I think I'm okay with it, though. I think the only thing that worries me with him is that he won it last year, or I guess it was 2 years ago technically, but it's hard to repeat. Obviously, we know that nobody ever repeats on the PGA Tour. But at the same time, it's like we don't really need him to win at 7,600. So I'm okay with it. I think his course is
if he gets a 20-some% ownership and he makes the Final Four or the Elite Eight, you're paying off that that play there. All right, pod number 3. Also, one of the top golfers in the world. There's so many great golfers in this event. That's what I do love. I mean, literally every top golfer is here. You got Jon Rahm, Ryan Palmer, Shane Lowry, and Sebastian Munoz. Jon Rahm's obviously the favorite to win this pod. The number one seed in each pod is obviously favored to win each one of them. But what are you looking at in this pod?
I feel like, to me, this is the easiest bracket. I think just kind of like DJ's round is that how do you not pick Rahm in this one? Like, I don't think there's any chance he loses to any of these guys. Lowry I don't know if you saw last week, but he was god-awful on the back nine of the last round. He was terrible.
Munoz, but everybody was god-awful on the back nine last week.
True. But he was like 8 over or something. So, yeah, Munoz, I don't have a lot of faith in Munoz in this. The one tricky one for me is that I always say play Rahm and Palmer at the same courses. Well, they happen to be – they're best buddies. They happen to be in the same pod. So that's interesting, but I don't know how you don't pick Rahm in this one. Yeah. What do you think?
So picking on my bracket, which if you go to PGAtour.com, they're giving away like a huge package of prizes for brackets. And I filled out my bracket. I've got Jon Rahm winning this pod. I've also got Jon Rahm in the Final Four. Problem is, can I pick him? Plus some of the other guys that I like in my Final Four in my DraftKings lineup. I do actually like potentially Shane Lowry. I know you said he played awful on the back nine last week, but I mean, he is the Open champion. He's got a World Golf Championship to his name. He was in contention up to the back nine of round 4 last week, and he's only 7,100 on DraftKings. So if you're looking for a cheaper play this week, I mean, it's one of I got about 5 or 6 really cheap plays that I like to balance out a lineup if I need to this week. So again, Jon Rahm is winning this bracket or this pod, but Shane Lowry is a sneaky play. John Rahm just needs to have one distracted,
Right.
His wife's due in 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. He just needs to get one distracted phone call from her, like right before a round starts, and he could be done. So Shane Lowry is a sneaky play in my opinion there.
Did you happen to see that Shane Lowry video from Sunday? What he did at his house?
No.
So they were doing a live stream with Patrick Harrington after, and he was kind of saying, I struggled this week. I had a lot of fun, but I struggled. In the background, Shane Lowry runs up and does a cannonball into the pool. It was legendary.
That's
yeah.
There's a lot of good videos. There was the video from the week before when they were all sitting around drinking at lunch after a round of golf.
Yeah.
There's all the Irish and Englishmen and all. We were combined plus 29, but we're all sitting here having a good time right now. I love that one. That was hilarious. Good. Yeah. So anyway, pod number 4. It's your final number 1 ranked guy if you're looking at it from a March Madness standpoint. You got Colin Morikawa, the young guy, hot as can be. You got Billy Horschel. You got Max Homa, and you got guy you love on DraftKings regularly, JT Poston. Again, obviously, Morikawa, favorite to win the bracket. But I think there's some intrigue in this bracket, in my opinion.
What do you think? You go first on this one.
Oh, well, I think Max Homa is a guy that could be an upset to come out of this bracket. In fact, I've got him coming out of the bracket on my poll. I don't know. He thrives on the tough courses, won the Genesis. He's been playing really well. And I don't know. Colin Morikawa has been a little off to me the last couple events and all. So I'm not sure. This is kind of an event. It's an important event to win, but you got the Masters in 2 weeks. So some guys might be looking ahead, with this match play event this week. And I think Max Homa is a guy that 7,400 on DraftKings. I think he's plus, where's my odds? He's plus 80 or plus 90 to 1 to win the event. Yeah, he's 80 to 1 to win the event. I think this is a sneaky little spot where someone can come out. And honestly, I don't even dislike Horschel either out of this bracket.
So that's exactly what I was going to say. Horschel's my favorite actually in this one. Homa's my second favorite. There's not much separating the two of them. Right. I like both of them for exactly what you said. I think Homa is not going to be scared of the moment, which I really like. And then Horschel, I like him because he putts so well. When Horschel heats up, he can win this event. So I like both those plays too. I agree. Morikawa he'll come out of nowhere and win. He won't play that great for 3-4 weeks in a row, and then he'll come out and win an event. So yeah, I like this as an upset bracket.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you on that. Yeah, it's one of those, the second or the third guy. All right, next bracket for pod. Bryson DeChambeau, my favorite to win the event. Tommy Fleetwood, Siwoo Kim, and Antoine Rosner. I wrote down Fleetwood and Kim as potentials, but I don't see anybody beating DeChambeau in this pod. I think DeChambeau, his distance, I know it's a shorter course. It's just under 7,100 yards, this course. I think his distance plays such a factor, even on a tee shot where he's teeing off with an iron, because his second shot will always come second. So he will get to see what the guy in front of him or the guy he's playing with does, and he'll be able to judge whether he's got to be aggressive or not each hole. And I think that's a huge advantage for all the long hitters. You look at all the past winners. I mean, I'm not sure if Kisner's a long hitter, but outside of him, Bubba, DJ, Rory, Jason Day, all the past winners are all the long hitters. And I think that's a big key why, because going second on your second shot, it's a strategy match play, obviously.
Yeah, that's a great point. I haven't heard that point. I really like that point a lot. So I have 2 brackets that I did. One of which I have Bryson winning.
For a good one.
One of the brackets I have Bryson winning. The other one I have Bryson losing in the first round. So
wow.
This one, I like Tommy Fleetwood. I can't believe I'm saying that because I never liked Tommy Fleetwood in any event, but I just feel like in a Ryder Cup type setting, one-on-one match play type deal, I like Tommy a lot. I could see him being the one that upsets Bryson if anyone does.
Well, you do know that Fleetwood did beat, when he was teamed up with Molinari, he beat DeChambeau and Tiger Woods in I forget whether it was the last Ryder Cup.
Yeah,
and beat Ryder Cup. So, there is that. That's going to be that matchup, whether they're Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Fleetwood, DeChambeau. That's strength versus iron play. Strength versus finesse. That'll be a fun, round matchup there to see there. So I can see it.
That's going to be a good one.
DeChambeau all the way. He's my bet to win this. I'm just going to jump the gun there. I got him circled 4 times. I love him this
segue.
Week. Yeah, segue. Next pod. Xander Schauffele, Scotty Scheffler, Jason Day, multiple-time champion here, and Andy Sullivan. I'll let you go first. But first, before you even go, are we ever going to pick the fourth guy in a bracket here this week? Because so far we're going first, second, or third. I have actually some fourth ranked guys, but I just don't know if we're ever going to get there.
You know what's funny? I love playing Andy Sullivan whenever he's on the PGA Tour because I think he's undervalued every single time. However, this bracket's loaded, I feel like. I don't know. I could see
I actually think
Xander, obviously.
This is the toughest bracket to me, personally, to pick.
Yeah, because you have three guys that could not only win this pod, but I feel like they could win the entire bracket. So, yeah, I think I like Xander the most coming out of this just because of how good he is. His all-around game is so good. He can putt. He's good off the tee. I've seen a lot of people picking Jason Day. The only thing that worries me about him is playing this many rounds. He's a guy that always gets hurt too. He's a withdrawal candidate all the time. Playing 7 rounds.
His mind is all over the place. He's changed clubs. He's changed swing coach. He doesn't even have all the same clubs. He's got a mixed bag of clubs right now.
Right, which is weird.
I love Jason Day in this event because he is a 2-time champ, but I don't know how you could pick him. I think the Schauffele-Scheffler matchup when they play in their pod is going to be a hell of a round of golf.
Yeah. I
got Xander by a hair, but you could go either way. Xander's 10K on DraftKings. Scotty is 7,900. That's a big difference in cost on DraftKings.
And Scotty's one of those guys too that if he gets it going, he's a birdie maker. So if he gets it going, he could put together a good solid couple rounds in a row. Absolutely. So yeah, I think that I like Xander by a hair, but not by much.
My notes, it didn't say. I mean, he's played Austin Country Club, which is where the event is held before. He did go to college in Texas and all, and he did win the U.S. Juniors in a match play, event at this course. So, he's got some course history, even though it's his first time in this event. So I do like that. Next pod, Patrick Reed, Joaquin Neiman, Christian, whatever his name is.
Zudenhout.
Yeah, Buzenhout. Whatever.
Zudenhout. Yeah.
And Bubba Watson, former winner here. Again, Patrick Reed is the favorite in this bracket. There's some intrigue here, but not to me. I'm just going to let you go because I'm a Patrick Reed guy. You know that. I love Patrick Reed. And honestly, he's made for match play. He loves the one-on-one fight.
I also love Patrick Reed. However, upset city, Christian Bezuidenhout is going to win this pod. I love him. He's been playing some really good golf. I love him anyway. But he's been playing some good golf. He has been on fire in this spring. He's been really good overseas and also in the U.S. too. So I like him in a Ryder Cup setting. I think he might make the Ryder Cup team this year too. So segue.
Yeah, no, there you go. Now he's like the sneaky play, and also on top of that, Patrick Reed 9,600. He's 7,600 on DraftKings. So, price wise, again, yeah, I mean, I could see it. I'm going to go Patrick Reed all the way. Again, I've got Patrick Reed in my final four because the two players that everybody hates the most, DeChambeau and Patrick Reed, they're my favorite because everybody hates them so much.
So I'm kind of cheating in this bracket.
This event is made for them.
I'm kind of cheating in this bracket because I picked Bezuidenhout to win, but I also bet Patrick Reed to win the whole event. So
there you go. Yeah,
kind of hedge myself.
That's majorly cheating there. Okay. Yeah. Next bracket here. We're just cruising right along here. This is a long show we got today because we got so many pods to go through. To me, the next bracket, pod, whatever you want to call it, the sleeper pod, because it's going to put you to sleep watching Tyrell Hatton, Lee Westwood, Sergio Garcia, and Matt Wallace. I mean, all the four guys are 8,600 and below on DraftKings. Honestly, I'm going with Sergio here. But honestly, I don't have anybody making it far out of this pod. This to me is a one and done type. Whoever wins this then loses in the next round.
So we are not on the same page. I have Sergio Garcia going to the finals.
What, the finals? I need to hear this explanation.
First of all, he's awesome in match play. I love him in match play. Hold on, I wrote down a stat about his match play today. Hold on, let me find it. Okay, so Sergio has played 17 matches in match play, or 17 tournaments in match play. I'm sorry. 7 of them have been top 10 finishes. So he's advancing out of his group in almost every single one that he plays. So I like that a lot. I do like Hatton a little bit, but I feel like Sergio is his iron play has been a lot better. He can't putt, which worries me a little bit, but I like him to get hot this week. So.
He also made the round of 16, Sergio, the last 2 times this event. So he's made it out of his pod each of the last 2 years playing this event. I think it's Sergio, but then I think it's done because then Sergio would be going up against, actually, great segue to the next pod, who I've got beaten Sergio in a very, European heavy favorite, but how do I describe it? The people in Europe love this matchup, but people in the US won't. The next pod's got Webb Simpson, Paul Casey, Mackenzie Hughes, and Taylor Gooch. I've got Paul Casey coming out of this one, and beating Sergio in the Sweet 16, if you want to call it that. But again, your reasoning for Sergio, that's a coin flip between Paul Casey and Sergio there for me.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I have Casey winning this one too. Yeah, that's going to be a good match. Honestly, Garcia and Casey, that might be one of the better second round matchups.
Don't forget about again, another guy, very cheap on DraftKings, 6,600. He played really well at the Players Championship. He's a Texas resident, so he's probably played this course or courses like this before. So I think this is the easiest bracket not to pick the favorite Webb Simpson in.
Yeah, I agree. So Casey's actually been on fire lately. So
Absolutely.
He's played this event. The last 3 times he's played this event, T9, T17, T9. He's in awesome form right now, which is really helpful too. He's T5, T10, and T5 in his last 3 events. So 3 top 10s in his last 3 events. This guy's playing really good golf right now. So I like him, and I don't think it's going to be much of a contest coming out of this one.
I agree. All right, next one's a very intriguing bracket to me. Patrick Cantlay, Hideki Matsuyama, Carlos Ortiz, and Brian Harman. First off, the reason why I think this is an intriguing bracket, again, we've talked about this before. When you're looking at your odds to win and your DraftKings prices, kind of got to look sometimes like if you're the 20th ranked DraftKings guy, but the 30th ranked, odds to win, that could tell you something. Here, Brian Harman's the 54th ranked golfer in this field, but he's got a higher price tag than Carlos Ortiz, who's 42nd. So I really think this kind of a match play thing favors a Brian Harman. Now, Patrick Cantlay, 9,800, he's the favorite to win this bracket for a reason, but I think Brian Harman could sneak out of here.
Yeah, I like Harman too. I actually went with Matsuyama winning this bracket.
Okay.
I think if he gets it going, he can win this bracket. But I thought long and hard about Harman, and I actually may use Harman in some DraftKings teams too, because for the same reason you said, he's been playing really good golf lately too. And if he gets it rolling with the putter, I mean, he could definitely win this bracket.
He's played really well in match play, especially when he was an amateur. He's kind of got that Kevin Kisner type style of play. I love him coming out of it. But again, you said Matsuyama. I think the Cantlay Matsuyama matchup will be a fun, round of golf to watch, because I think whoever wins that out of the two will push Harman the most. So if Cantlay beats Matsuyama, then it'll be Cantlay Harman battling for that pod. But if Matsuyama does, it'll be Matsuyama and Harman battling for that pod, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay. Next one. Again, I think this is going to be another popular one not to pick the favorite in the pod, which is kind of weird because, again, Rory McIlroy, the number one in this pod, he's Rory. He's won this event. He's one of the greatest golfers of all time. But you got Cameron Smith, Lanto Griffin, and Ian Poultier. Go.
This bracket's actually surprisingly good, I feel like. I agree with you. Definitely don't pick the favorite in this one. I'm going with Cam Smith. I think he's got the most talent of any of the other guys. However, I do like, if you want to go Lanto Griffin, I think he's a really good value. He's under 7,000 on DraftKings. And Poulter, this is my other stat, Poulter is awesome at match play. Poulter in his career in match play is 43, 18, and 5 all time. So he's obviously really good at match play. My only thing with him is that he's missed 2 cuts in a row. He's not playing very good golf right now. So I'm going Cam Smith, but I honestly think any of the 4 could win this pod.
I think Cam Smith is a great play to bet to win if you're going to bet who's going to come out of the pod. I don't know if I did or not. Let me see if I wrote him down here. I didn't actually place a bet yet on him to win that pod. But I think DraftKings-wise, again, everybody's off the Rory train, and everybody's going to see Rory's 10,200 price tag, and everybody's going to play Cameron Smith because they just assume he's going to come out of this bracket. So just like earlier we were talking, I think ownership percentage is going to be a big deal in this bracket because I think a lot of people are going to play Cameron Smith. So I like him coming out. I don't necessarily like him as a DraftKings play.
Yeah, I agree with you too. Same thing.
Okay. Next bracket. We got 5th place, Tony Finau, leading the way. He's still 5th place Finau until he wins an event for me. You got Jason Kokrak, you got Will Zalatoris, and you got Dylan Fratelli, who was a subbed in there at the end. I'm not sure which one of the guys that were out that he subbed in for, but he's in the event now. Again, Tony Finau, the favorite. I don't know. In the Ryder Cup, was it, or the President's Cup? mean, 0-1-3 in match play. That doesn't scream match play, success to me. I think Kokrak and Zalatoris are the keys to this pod here. Who do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. To me, this is a one and done pod. I feel like whoever wins this pod's getting beat in the next round by Bryson or Fleetwood. Anyway,
agreed.
My initial thought was Zalatoris because he's been so consistent. I also like Kokrak though. I feel like he's been playing really good golf too. I think he has 2 top 10s in a row.
3 top 10s in a row.
3 top 10s in a row.
Ninth at the Players.
So, gun to my head, I take Zalatoris, I think, but Kokrak number 2. What do you think?
I think, you can literally coin flip, but I agree with what you said. I think it's a one and done bracket because, again, I've got DeChambeau, and whoever wins this has got to go up against either your pick Fleetwood or my pick DeChambeau. And, obviously, I don't think they stand a chance there.
Agreed.
So, moving on to the next bracket, Victor Hovland leads the way with Abraham Answer, Bernard Weisberger, and Kevin Streelman. Streelman, he's the cheapest guy in the bracket at $6,300. But Victor Hovland, the favorite, you guys know I love me Abraham Answer. Everybody watching the show knows I always pump him up. And he was 3-1-1 at the President's Cup in 2019. So he has had success in match play. So that's where I'm going. Where are you going?
That's where I'm going too. Final 4, Abraham Answer.
Wow. See, I don't have him going.
Boom.
I got him one and done, but it could be a coin flip. At best, he doesn't get past DeChambeau in the Elite 8, So, again, I'm all on the DeChambeau train. He's gonna lose all 3 of his match play events this week and be done right away. And I'm gonna go broke.
So I made a few lineups already. Answer is my most highly owned player across the board.
Wow.
So
all right.
Yeah.
I know if you make the first pick, who you're gonna pick then.
Right.
Which means if you go first, that means DeChambeau has to come off the board for me. Damn it. Boom. Killing me. All right, you got 3 more pods to break down here. All right, next one. Daniel Berger, Harris English, Brendan Todd, Eric Van Ruinen. Ruined. He's ruined. In my best Stewie Griffin voice, ruined. All right, so this is my most confusing bracket. And I sent you a message earlier today. I don't know if you really read into it too much. But Brendan Todd, he's 6,400 on DraftKings. He's 100 to 1 to win this event, okay? So 101 to win the event, one of the cheapest guys on DraftKings. He's 28 to 1 to reach the semis, 10 to 1 to reach the quarters and all, which are pretty long odds. But he's only 6 to 1 to make the finals. And that just really confused me when I was looking at this because I was thinking Harris English. I even thought about maybe Daniel Berger. I was a little concerned with his withdrawal, a couple weeks back and all. But why? So the 6 to 1 to make it to the finals, he is actually the favorite on FanDuel Sportsbook, the number 1 person to make the finals. And to me, that made no sense at first. But when you start thinking about it, maybe there's something to it.
Yeah, that was interesting too. When you said that to me, I reread it honestly probably about 3 times because thought I was missing something.
I reread it 3 times. I went to make sure I wasn't reading it off the website wrong.
I'm like, did I read that wrong? And I did it again. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like this is the worst pod. I don't know where to go with this one. I like Brendan Todd actually, because of his iron play. I feel like Harris English has been terrible lately. EVR, I don't have any interest in. And then Berger, like you said, is Berger really going to play that many rounds after withdrawing last week with a rib injury? I doubt it. So, yeah, I'm going Brendan Todd, but I think this is definitely a one and done for me.
So here's the thing. And because of those numbers, I picked Brendan Todd to come out of this bracket. But then we all agreed John Rahm's winning his bracket.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that the odds are saying that he's going to beat Rahm. And then he's going to go on to beat either, Cam Smith, Rory, Xander, Scotty Scheffler, to make it to the Final Four. And then go on to win, the Patrick Reed bracket. I mean, I am so confused on that. And I will say this. I don't think he'll win this event, but because he's a favorite to make the finals, I went and threw $1 on him to win outright. Because if he's going to make the finals, once you get to the finals, anything can happen. And I mean, he's a young guy. He's never played in this event. You got to play 2 rounds of golf to win this event on Sunday. You got to win the final, your semifinal matchup, and you got to win the finals both on Sunday. So, he's young enough to have the energy to do it. I don't know. What do you think?
The only thing I don't like, you kind of touched on it already, is that having to play Rahm in the second round. I do not think that's going to work out well for him. So, I like him in the pod, but I don't like him in that bracket, though. I can't get on board with that. Yeah. I mean, I think it's worth a buck for sure, but I just don't.
Yeah,
I don't see him winning.
I did message Mike, our gambling expert. I'm like, yo, I know you don't know fantasy golf or gambling on golf, but I'm like, these odds don't make sense. He did say, though, he brought up the Final Four and March Madness and NCAA, that sometimes you can get those kind of odds where, they just think that, someone else might get upset. Maybe they think John Rahm's going to get upset, in the first pod, or that John Rahm's wife might come early, with her baby.
Yeah.
And, be withdrawn in the event. I know, lowbrow joke. Anyway, so maybe there's something to it. I don't know, but it definitely intrigued me a lot today. I think I messaged like 4 different, blue checkmark people, and I didn't hear back from any of them to see why.
Because they don't know what to say either. They're like,
I don't know. Nobody knows what to say on that.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next bracket, and this is where DraftKings price to odds to rankings don't match up. So the next pod, it's got Matt Fitzpatrick. You got Matthew Dead to Me Wolf, Corey Connors, and Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth is the 49th ranked player in this event, but he's the highest priced guy on DraftKings out of this whole group at 9,300. I mean, I could go a lot of different ways with this, so I'll let you go first, and then I'll just change my opinion to counter you.
So I actually had thoughts of playing all 4 of these guys. First off, I think this pod's up in the air. Spieth is playing really good golf right now. I went with Matthew Fitzpatrick, though, because he's the best putter of any of these guys. Well, Spieth is a good putter, too. But I don't know. I just have more faith in his all-around game right now. I think he's playing really good golf lately, and I like him to get hot this week. So I like Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. Well, Fitzpatrick, 3 top 10s and a tied for 11th in his last 4 events. He's one of the hottest golfers. Corey Connors, he's been hot. He did have that first-round lead that Chris Ebom, called out of nowhere, first-round lead at, the Players' Championship. So he's played some really good golf. And I think Corey Connors is going to be at 7,800, he's going to be a highly owned guy in DraftKings out of this pod. But I keep going back to Jordan Spieth winning this bracket or this pod here. I think this is the kind of event that he can go off on. And I think the Jordan Spieth versus Matthew Wolff, match, if Matt Wolff plays, will be a fun matchup to watch. And I just hope Jordan Spieth just crushes him. Because Wolf just is dead to me from week 1 of us doing the show. He is dead to me. I think you can go. I think that's intriguing. The 4th ranked guy in the pod is the most expensive guy to play.
Yeah. Well, and this is the kind of event that I feel like would kind of favor Spieth a little bit because it's you're playing by the hole. So what's Spieth's biggest Achilles heel is that he's the big number. He'll play good for 8 holes in a row, and then he gets that one hole where he'll get a 9 or an 8 or whatever it is. So that doesn't matter really as much in this. You lose a hole, whatever, you move on.
If you hit one in the water, just pick up and walk away.
Yeah,
that's a great thing.
The hole and move on.
Holes, and I love that. If he hits it to 10 feet and the other guy's 30 feet or in a bunker, he might just concede it, and you don't even have to worry about Spieth's putting at that point. Yep. So that's the different part of match play. The conceding holes, the picking up. Hey, that putt's good kind of, mentality. I love that aspect of it. So I do love Jordan Spieth. I know Chris Euxian, Chris Ebom, he actually has Spieth winning this event outright. So, I don't have him that far, but, he's definitely a guy to watch this week. So final pod, Sungjae Im, Victor Perez, Mark Leishman, and Russell Henley. It's another interesting pod, in my opinion. It could go a lot of different ways. Obviously, Im is the favorite in the pod, but I don't really think he's the favorite. I think there's 4 guys that can win this pod.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually like Sungjae to win this, but I feel like you could talk me into. I don't know about Victor Perez, but I like Leishman and Henley. Henley's been playing really good golf too, so I feel like you could go any of those 3. But I actually went Sungjae.
Yeah, I'm leaving Russell Henley out of this group. That's my main pick out of this group. I'm trying to find them on the bracket here. Where are they? There they are. Yeah, I got Russell Henley. But again, I think this bracket is a one and done because then you got to go up against Dustin Johnson in the next round. And, I know Dustin Johnson's not been hot, but he's going to be good enough to at least advance to the Elite 8, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Okay. All right. Moving right along on this episode, the Del Play match, match play, whatever. It's a really long name for a tournament. We got to get our DraftKings lineup. So again, as we talked about earlier on this show, to build a proper lineup, you're doing a lot of risk and reward here for sure, because you can only pick one from each quadrant to start with, and then you pick a second person from 2 of the quadrants, but only someone you think is going to make it to the Elite 8. The top guys are all so expensive, So it's really hard to find balance in this lineup. So I'm going to let you go first. You're going to pick your guy. Probably know who it is already.
Yeah, you do know who it is. I'm going to put Answer in there.
Yeah, that's fine. I like Abraham Answer, though. If he wasn't in the DeChambeau bracket, I would actually like him a lot in this bracket. And we might get back to DeChambeau if there's enough money left on the table as my second guy out of that quadrant. So we obviously got to go cheap now. Where's my DraftKings numbers here? There we go. Get organized here. Let's see here. So that was down there. So this is the problem here. I got to look at names, and then I got to pick people.
Yeah, this is not as easy as the other one.
No, this is not easy to build a lineup here. So
can we just tell the fans real quick before you get into it that this is how much faith you have in this lineup that you're putting into the quarter arcade?
Well, no. Let me phrase that. One of the things you win. One of the missions today was to enter a quarter lineup.
Oh,
I had a quarter ticket. So just so you know, that is where this came into play. All right.
Okay.
Just, there's a reason. I could have pulled up the dollar one because that's the max I'm playing this week. Not playing anything higher than that. All right, I'm going to go Russell Henley because I don't even like that pick anymore. Can I change it already?
You can change it if you want.
Yeah, we're backing that out. I forgot he's got to go up against Dustin Johnson in the second round. So I really got to find somebody here that's got a chance at moving on. And I've got literally nobody. Man, you're killing me. I'm going to have to spend the money. I'm going to have to take the money away from you. I'm just going to have to. And you're going to have to find some value somewhere else here. I hate to do it to you, but I got to. So I'm going to take Patrick Reed.
Okay.
Again, I can't take DeChambeau. I think I just eliminated him from this event. But,
yeah, probably.
But I have to go with him. We're down to 81.75 now.
So you got – who'd you pick?
Reed.
Okay, so Reed's at the bottom of that one.
Yeah, he's the top, but the bottom of the top right.
All right, so I'm going to go on that same – I'm going to go Kisner at the top of that bracket.
All right. I mean, I think Spieth could beat Kisner, but on the flip side of the equation, his success at this event shows that he could definitely come out on top of that Spieth, corner there. That takes out of the play. Now we're at 8,300 left. So I've got to find somebody here. Where are my guys? See, that's the thing again.
Not that easy.
No, the first name I looked at was Cole Connors, but he's in the Spieth bracket, so that's a no.
Yeah, so that bracket's done. We can't use that one anymore.
We can't look at anybody. That takes out Brian Harmon, another play I like. You just basically took out my favorite bracket for DraftKings. All right, so we're gonna do it just because the odds intrigue me so much, and maybe something's happening with John Rahm that we don't know about. I'm gonna go Brendan Todd at 6,400.
Like it.
Saves us a lot of money and puts 9,350 on the table for the last two spots.
So I'm gonna go. Well, let me see. Hold on. Let me see what this does.
So we picked there one. We picked two from up there already. Picked one from there.
Might screw everything up. No, it'll be all right. All right, so I'm going to go with Sergio Garcia.
Sergio Garcia. All right, let me put this in and see where I'm at here. You love Sergio.
I might back out of that. Hold on a second.
You gave me a lot of money to get to left on the table there.
All right. Okay, I'm going to go Sergio. If you can't find someone that you want to play, I have a different pick that I'm going to go with. So then that will open up anything you want.
Yeah, 10-4. So that takes out DeChambeau, but that leaves in this range here. Oh man, problem is Spieth can't take him because of it. So I got to go with the top bracket. Problem is the guy I would go with right now will leave a lot of money on the table, like way more than I feel comfortable, which means you can upgrade Sergio if you wanted to. I mean, I have no problem putting Paul Casey in here.
So who are you going to pick?
No. Paul Casey would be going up against Sergio in the next round. So see, again, you're killing me here.
All right, wait. Let's see.
This makes it so difficult. Give me a second here. I think I can figure this out.
Okay, or I could go Casey, which is fine too, and then you could go with basically Scheffler, Day, one of those guys. I don't know. Whatever you want to do.
You like Sergio. I'm going to trust your opinion. Like I said, it leaves a lot on the table. Let me see. I mean, I guess we could go with if you go Sergio there. Xander's not an awful play.
No.
I mean, he's going to get to the Elite Eight at least, in my opinion. I mean, if
I
he comes
actually
out
really like that play. Yeah, I actually really like Xander this week.
Yeah, so there you go.
Do it.
So we got that built there. So
I actually really like this lineup.
Let me add this to my official lineup sheet here, so I don't forget. Well, actually, we'll just enter. We'll just click enter right now. Update entry. I don't have to forget it. See, you all know I enter my lineups because I just updated it live on the air.
Boom, done.
All right, done. Bam. So there's look at that. I'm cashing in an NBA lineup tonight. $2. Yeah, it's the first NBA lineup I've played in about 3 months now because I'm so bad at it. All right, so let's wrap this up. But we got a lot to still talk about. So we got to talk about betting, obviously, this week. I made my top 2 bets this week. I got Bryson DeChambeau. He's 13-1 to win the event. I think he wins this event hands down, in my opinion. There's also a boost on FanDuel for him to make the quarters at 3.5, 3.6 to 1. So I love that too. My second favorite bet is Patrick Reed at 29 to 1. So they're my 2 bets. I bet a little bit more than I normally bet on both those guys because I'm pretty confident in both those guys. So I got 1 or 2 other bets, but I'll let you go first.
So I also bet Reed too. That's one of mine. So I bet Sergio 40 to 1. I bet Rahm 14 to 1. And then I had 5 bets. So I bet Reed, and then I bet Hatton 33 to 1 and Xander at 25 to 1.
Okay. I do have 2 long shot bets too. It wasn't originally, but Brendan Todd is now on my long shot bet list. Again, I'm just still so intrigued by that weird, confusing number. I chimed in again. That's still confusing to me. I am beyond confused by the Brendan Todd thing. So again, my only thing is that somehow something's up with John Rahm. Maybe John Rahm withdraws or is distracted this week, and then Brendan Todd cruises past him. And then maybe Cameron Smith upsets Xander Schauffele. And then you've got Brendan Todd versus Cameron Smith. Maybe Brendan Todd wins. And then who knows once you get to the Final Four. I don't know. I'm trying to find ways to Brendan Todd.
I like it.
But I also have Max Homa at 80 to 1. The only way Max Homa wins is if he gets past DeChambeau.
Right.
But I was looking at, long shots, and I was looking at the players. Bryson's a guy that's a boomer bust guy. I really think Bryson wins this event, but he could easily get knocked out in the pod play. And then all of a sudden, this whole quadrant opens wide up. So I think Max Homa, he's played really well this year. I think he's a good long shot bet.
So I don't know if you agree with me on this or not, but I feel like for the guys like Bryson and DJ and Rahm, I feel like the best chance for them to get knocked out is actually in the pod play. I don't think going one-on-one one round, I don't think they're going to lose to anybody. So I feel like the best chance is if they lose early.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing, in pod play, you might be looking ahead to somebody else. Like Bryson might be looking ahead to his matchup against Fleetwood and overlook Kim or Rosner and then lose that matchup. It's something that's very easy, can happen. And then again, weather, depending on who you're playing, I think it's Thursday. There's one bad day of weather in pod play. I believe it's Thursday. It could be Friday. I forget now. But if you have your toughest matchup on the bad day with weather, that could play in a factor too.
Yeah, 100%.
If they get rain really bad on Thursday, and then they got to play 2 pod round matchups on Friday. There's a lot to take into account there. I made a bunch of bets on people to come out of their pod actually as well, because you can bet group winners. So obviously I bet Bryson to come out of his pod. I stayed away from all the favorites to come out of their pods because it's just such small odds. So Bryson's plus 115 to come out of his pod. I mean, so my $1 bet's going to win me $1.15. It's not really worth it there. But I got 5 other guys, and I didn't even pick all these guys in my bracket. I just like the odds and like the chance of them coming out. So obviously I picked Max Homa. He's plus 310. I picked Brian Harmon plus 380. I picked Gooch at plus 430. And then you'll like this one. I took Sergio to come out of his pod at plus 200. And then I also picked Shane Lowry to come out of his pod at plus 430. I don't know if he can or not, but I think those odds are really worth worth the shot there.
Yeah, no, I like all those bets, definitely. So let me ask you one thing. Who's your Final Four?
At this moment, well, it's official. My Final Four is Paul Casey, Bryson DeChambeau, with DeChambeau beating Casey to go to the finals. And I got Patrick Reed, John Rahm, with Patrick Reed going to the finals. It's as chalky as you could possibly get to an extent. But, I love it,
Solid. I'm going Sergio and Answer on the one side with Sergio coming out, and then Rahm and Kisner on the other side with Rahm coming out and Rahm beats Sergio in the finals.
Wow. I mean, that would be a hell of a Spanish finals right there, Rahm versus Sergio.
If that happens, I'm going to probably lose my mind because I'll be so happy that I got it right.
I want to backtrack. I realized why I bet Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry's plus 430 to come out of his pod. He's in the John Rahm pod. And again, I just said maybe the whole Brendan Todd thing is because of something up with John Rahm. So John Rahm doesn't play well in the first pod or withdrawals early. Shane Lowry at plus 430. It's a good pick there. Ryan Palmer and Munoz is the other two guys in that pod. That's why I went, with Shane Lowry at plus 430 there. But that's all the bet I've got there.
It's not like Shane Lowry's some chump either. He's a major champion too, so he's capable.
A recent major champion winner.
Yeah, exactly. So he's capable.
Do you have any other sleepers that you're looking at that could potentially surprise this week?
I think I pretty much named them all. Yeah, Horschel's the one that probably my biggest sleeper that I like for the week.
Yeah. I'm just double checking my list to see if anything else jumps out at me. I mean, I think I've pretty much touched them all. I mean, Taylor Gooch maybe sneaks through Paul Casey's pod there, but then he would have to beat Sergio. If you think he's going to win, then he's going to have to beat Dustin Johnson or somebody else. But Taylor Gooch has played really good golf, and he's been, one of those guys. And, he's not a sleeper per se, but we all pretty much wrote him off in his pod. 5th place Finau. I mean, we all wrote him off. But yet, he can't make the Final Four if he's 5th place Finau, but, he could get close. Who knows? I'm not really sure. I'm really confident in Bryson and Patrick Reed making the finals. I really am. So I really think this event sets up for the big names. And that's why outside of Kevin Kisner, who he's not a big name, but he's not a huge name. I think that's a flip on the radar. I think the big names win this event. That's why I got DeChambeau and Reed.
Like it.
Roger that. All right. Got any other bets? Oh, I know you did. I haven't done any research. We do have another event going on this week. You made some bets on the Punta Cana.
We did, yeah.
It's called. Is it the Punta Cana?
It's Punta Cana, yeah.
Yeah. There we go. We all wish you're in Punta Cana right now.
Yeah, I would love to be in Punta Cana. I made 2 bets on the other one. Hold on, let me pull them up real quick because I forgot who the one guy is already.
And Taylor Penthroth or something like that. I wrote it down.
Yeah.
So I was going to place a bet after this.
So, yeah, Sepp Straka. I just love Sepp Straka anyway. I've got him at 28-1 to win. And then Taylor Pendrith, who I did not hear of until today. He's been really hot lately, 40-1 odds. So I like that. I also made 3 DraftKings lineups. So I have a little bit of a problem.
Such a degenerate golf fan.
I have a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you told me yesterday that you're probably only going to make 2 or 3 lineups because I'm just not feeling it. Then we come on the air, you're like, well, I got 8 lineups. Oh, okay.
8 lineups, yeah. And then 3 for the other tournament.
Yeah, so you got 11 lineups going this week. That's not I don't have confidence. That's I figured out a secret system, and I've been secretly winning millions of dollars on DraftKings and not telling anybody.
Either that or I just have big problems. One of the two. But
yeah, well, I'm going to go with you got problems over the other end. But,
I do have problems.
Yeah, exactly. First drinks are on you in Clearwater in a couple weeks because you're the one that's the big winner right now.
What is it, 44 days?
Is that what it is? I don't count because I've got a vacation every other week, so, I don't worry about that one until it's the next one, which it's not the next one. So.
Well, listen, my kid can't wait to see you. So.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet that kid and rile. When he says Philip, I am going to rile him up so much. He's going to see me for the first time and get scared of me. Most
probably.
kids are the first time. So, yeah. All right, let's wrap this show up again. All right, again, this is Fairway to Heaven on the All About the Birds Network. I am Phil Stifle. This is Jason Sullivan. You can follow me at Beard A Knowledge. You can follow Jason at JSully2121. We do this thing every week. We've had some really good success. We really hope we do this week as well with the match play, Dell Technologies, World Golf Classic, whatever you want to call it. I actually think it's great because it really takes the disappointment of my March Madness bracket away because now I got a new bracket to worry about this week.
Exactly.
So, I do like it. I appreciate everybody watching the show. Make sure you're liking, sharing, following, doing all that stuff. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you're hitting the thumbs up on YouTube. We greatly appreciate that as well. Again, our sponsors, Hemp Bomb, premium CBD products, www.hempbombs.com. Promo code AATBirds, 20% off. And also 99jersey.com. Great jersey site. That's where I got my Sugar Shane Falco, who cost me a ton in the Sugar Bowl, but it won't cost you a ton on their website if you use promo code AATBirds for 20% off. See, do you like that? Chip said it was a little much, my cheesy segue last week when I said
No,
that.
I love it.
I gotta try it out a few more times. Get that down right. But again, this is the Fairway to Heaven on the All About the Birds Network. Next week, stay tuned for the Valero Texas Open show. We've got a huge special guest. We'll just hint at it. He's going to coach us through our lineups, and he does call some games or some PGA events on PGAtour.com. So we got a huge special guest next week. I just got to lock up the time. If we're not on time next week at 9:00, just means we're tweaking the show time for our special guest. So we're really looking forward to welcoming him onto the show next week. And as always, again, Phil Stifle, Jason Sullivan, All About the Birds Network for Fairway to Heaven. We'll see you next week. And make sure you're following us on Twitter because we'll be posting a lot more information as the event goes along. But everybody have a great night, okay?